The mind and the body are one. We've all heard this phrase, and whatever image it conjures in your head, I want to replace that. This one sentence is an incredibly important insight into what we are as human beings and as living things. Often, in science, things are reduced to their parts, and then each part is analyzed separately and independently. You want to learn how a car works? Take out the motor. Understand the motor first, and then connect it to the axle, and so on. We tend to think of cars, computers, electronics, and technology as parts because we build them that way. An unfortunate repercussion of this is that we have applied the same reductionist logic to biological systems, including our own body, our own flesh and blood. We like to believe that the brain is the brain is the brain, that it's separate, it's independent, it's its own thing. That if we were to remove the brain from the body and keep it in a jar of nutrient and oxygen, that we could preserve who we are. But this is pure fiction. This is Futurama. This is a cartoon. For the brain is connected in an infinite many ways to the body through our nerves. These nerves read signals from every millimeter of our body, outside and in, and can tell us how we're doing, how we're feeling, what's going on. If we were to remove the brain from the body, we would not only feel odd, but downright horrible. The brain is important. This is an obvious fact, and so is the body. But learning and keeping the brain active keeps it growing. It keeps the neurons occupied. It keeps serotonin being released. This contributes to our overall happiness. We also know that exercise does the same thing. But when you think of this in reductionist logic, why on earth would exercise make you happy? It shouldn't, since the body isn't the brain. The brain is separate from the body. The body doesn't have neurons. It doesn't sense depression or happiness. One of the greatest and most simple examples of how the mind and body are one is smiling. When you feel fairly bland, a simple forced smile will cause your brain to release endorphins, making you feel happy. A similar example is spreading open of the arms. When you hold your arms close to you and shrink your body area, the brain closes off endorphin release and tends to create stress. However, if you open your arms as if ready to give a big hug, you spread your legs out wider than usual, the brain senses calmness and ambition and openness, again making you feel good. Another odd example is chewing gum. This removes stress and anxiety, but why? Because the brain more or less tells itself, if I were really in danger, I wouldn't be eating right now. So you want to chew gum before an anxious or stressful event. But what does this really tell us? Is there such a thing as real or fake happiness? No, not at all. What this tells us is that happiness is a muscle, an action that we take. And just like muscles, it can be activated involuntarily, like your arm muscles contracting when the hand contacts fire, or they can be used voluntarily. They can be used on command and strengthened. It also tells us that the brain shouldn't be considered separate from the lips, the arms, the mouth, or any other part of the body. The brain is the body, and the body is the brain. You have more receptors for serotonin in your gut than in your brain. You have more serotonin in your gut than in your brain. What you should remember is, one, the brain and body are one. That they are inseparable, and taking care of one is going to help in taking care of the other. 2. You can achieve happiness voluntarily, like a muscle. Sometimes it will be harder than normal, and sometimes it just won't be worth the effort. Imagine lifting weights after a marathon. That's difficult. Smiling after a funeral is difficult. But 3, train it. Just like the muscles of your arm, the brain will grow in response to how it is used. The happier you attempt to make your day, the happier your days to come will be.